Stop what you are doing. Your arrival here was not an accident, a random click in the vastness of the internet. This is a divine appointment, a message that has been traveling through time and space to find you at this exact moment. Powerful forces, both seen and unseen, have been working tirelessly to keep this truth from you, to distract you, to make you scroll past. Why? Because the revelation contained in this message is designed to awaken a power within you so immense that it will shatter every illusion of control they have ever held over you. They are terrified of you discovering who you truly are. If you are brave enough to listen to the very end, you will not only understand why the entire spiritual and physical world is buzzing about you, but you will also receive the key to unlocking your absolute, divine invincibility. This is your final warning and your greatest invitation. The choice is yours. There is a reason the very frequency in every room shifts the moment your name is mentioned. It's a phenomenon that goes beyond simple charisma or reputation. It is an energetic signature that even psychological studies are beginning to confirm. Certain individuals, souls like yours, carry a disruptive energy, a vibrational truth so potent that its mere existence begins to dismantle corrupt, decaying systems. You don't have to raise your voice for the foundations to tremble. You simply have to exist in your truth. Right now, as you listen to these words, conversations are happening. In corporate boardrooms built on exploitation, in family WhatsApp groups rife with hidden toxicity, in friend circles held together by shallow pretenses, and in community gatherings where conformity is the price of admission, they are whispering. They whisper about what you did, how you stood your ground when the pressure was designed to pulverize you, and how you refused to fold, bend, or break when every single odd was stacked against you, when everyone expected you to crumble into dust. What they don't understand, and what is about to shatter everything you thought you knew about your own power, is the monumental twist in this divine drama. They have been watching you for far, far longer than you realize. They monitored your progress, your stumbles, and your victories. In their arrogance, they never, ever expected you to become this. They never expected you to become unstoppable. This singular, profound revelation explains why your presence now commands a deep, instinctual respect, even from the very same people who once dismissed you, ridiculed you, or treated you as insignificant. You have graduated from being a mere problem to becoming the lightning that strikes existential fear into corrupt hearts. You are the storm that brings cleansing rain, washing away the filth and lies. Simultaneously, you are the first ray of dawn that brings profound, soul-stirring hope into the hearts of the oppressed, the silenced, and the forgotten. Tonight, you will finally and fully discover why all of this makes you absolutely, unequivocally, and divinely untouchable. Let me paint the picture for you, to connect the dots that have felt so scattered throughout your life. For years, perhaps your entire existence, you believed you were just another person, a cog in the machine, trying to survive and find a sliver of peace within a fundamentally broken and unjust system. But while your conscious mind was focused on survival, something deep within your spirit, your very soul, shifted. It was not a gentle turn. It was a profound, tectonic recalibration that altered the entire trajectory of your existence and sent shockwaves through the spiritual realm. This wasn't a single moment you can pinpoint on a calendar. It wasn't the day you decided to be brave or the afternoon you planned to become a leader. No, it was something far more elemental. It was that pivotal, sacred moment when the pain of staying silent became infinitely more excruciating than the perceived danger of speaking your truth. It was the instant when tolerating the slow poison of injustice became more unbearable, more soul-crushing, than facing the full frontal consequences of calling it out for what it was. That singular moment of spiritual rebellion, of choosing your soul's integrity over your personal comfort, created a ripple effect. That ripple did not fade. It continues to expand outward even now, a cosmic wave of energy touching lives you may never meet, empowering souls you may never know. It is dismantling power structures that once seemed as permanent and immovable as mountains. In the annals of the unseen world, you became known by a new title, the one who fearlessly exhumes buried truth and stands as a guardian for those who cannot defend themselves. What you are only now beginning to fully realize is the sheer scale of how your personal transformation has sparked a wildfire of courage in others. Your individual actions, born from that sacred moment of decision, set off a domino effect of epic proportions. You turned isolated, individual stands of defiance into vast, interconnected, collective movements. One voice, your voice, trembling yet resolute, became many. And now, the chorus is so loud, so resonant, that those in power can no longer afford to ignore what everyone is talking about. The narrative has shifted. You have become the living embodiment of victory, the crown-wearing champion that people point to with a glimmer of hope in their eyes and say, "See, that's how it's done. That is what courage looks like." And that is precisely why all eyes, from all realms, are on you now. But here is the part of the story that will truly blow your mind and reframe your entire understanding of reality. This was never, ever just about you. Your personal awakening, as profound as it was the designated catalyst for something immeasurably bigger, a global and spiritual revolution that has been quietly, patiently building in the shadows while you were rightfully focused on fighting your own battles and healing your own wounds. The vibrational frequency you are operating on now transcends ordinary human interaction. You are no longer just another voice in the crowd, easily drowned out. You have become a tuning fork for divine truth. When you speak, the very temperature in the room changes. You can feel it. The air becomes charged, heavier with significance, and the carefully constructed masks that people wear begin to slip and crack. Individuals who once dominated every conversation with their empty bravado suddenly find themselves at a complete loss for words, stammering and shrinking in your presence. This isn't because you shout, intimidate, or demand attention. It's because your words carry a weight, a gravitas, that rises from a place far deeper than personality, ego, or charisma. It rises from the wellspring of absolute, unshakable truth. Your very presence has become so fundamentally disruptive to the status quo that it makes traditional power structures tremble to their core. They fear you with a terror they cannot articulate because you cannot be bought with money, you cannot be flattered with empty praise, and you cannot be manipulated into compliance with threats or social pressure. You are not chasing the fleeting approval of people whose opinions hold no eternal value. You refuse, on a cellular level, to barter your sacred values for a moment of convenience or a hollow sense of social acceptance. This makes you dangerously unpredictable to those who have built their entire empires on controlling others through fear, manufactured scarcity, and a constant stream of false promises. They cannot figure you out because you operate from a code of divine principles instead of volatile, predictable emotions. They can't anticipate your next move because you are not playing their rigged games by their corrupt rules. You are playing a much older, much grander game, with rules written by the Creator. All they know for certain is this: wherever you stand, people start to question. They start questioning the narratives they have been force-fed, the limitations they've been told to accept, and the injustices they've been conditioned to ignore. Your influence spreads like wildfire through intricate networks of human connection that they can neither control, censor, nor contain. The incredible story you are about to uncover will reveal precisely why your personal transformation was actually the opening act of a much larger, planetary revolution. It will explain why your voice has become the catalyst that is awakening millions of others to the suppressed, divine power lying dormant within them. All around you, the charade is ending. Their masks don't hold under the light of your presence. The condescending smirks, the feigned concern, the oily veneer of charm, all of it unravels, dissolving the moment you step into any space. You see their entire demeanor shift. Their posture stiffens. Their tone becomes brittle. They begin performing, posturing, and desperately hoping you won't notice the deep insecurities, the hidden agendas, and the dark intentions they have worked so hard to conceal. But you do. You always do. Your spirit sees with perfect clarity. You see through their polished scripts and memorized talking points. You read the volumes of information contained within their pauses. You recognize, with pinpoint accuracy, when kindness is a tactical cover for cruelty and when power is being grotesquely misused. You possess a zero-tolerance policy for silent abuse, and they can feel it in your energy field. You refuse to normalize manipulation simply because it's wrapped in expensive suits, social status, or the suffocating veil of polite appearances. You call it exactly what it is, even when, especially when, no one else will. That is why they avoid your eyes now. That is why they nervously change the subject before you even open your mouth. It's why they engage in frantic, preemptive narrative twisting, trying to discredit you before you can even speak. They know that the very moment you speak your truth, their carefully constructed illusion dies a swift and violent death. But here is where the plot thickens in ways that will make your head spin with the sheer cosmic brilliance of it all. While they have been scrambling, panicking, and trying to maintain their fragile facade, something utterly extraordinary has been happening behind the scenes in the higher dimensions. The universe itself, the consciousness of God, has been taking meticulous notes on every single injustice you have witnessed, every courageous stand you have taken, and every single person you have selflessly defended. The cosmic ledger has been keeping a perfect score, and now, the great balancing, the divine reckoning, is about to begin in ways that will leave your enemies utterly speechless and your allies gloriously vindicated. They tried so hard to label you. They called you dramatic, difficult, rebellious, too much. Not because any of it was true, but because projecting a flaw onto you was infinitely easier than facing the gaping void within themselves. If they could successfully make you the issue, then they wouldn't have to confront the toxic power games, the insidious manipulation, and the deep harm they have inflicted behind closed doors. They clung to the hope that by tarnishing your name, they could strip your words of their inherent power and credibility. But they made a fatal miscalculation. Truth does not need a perfect messenger to carry devastating, world-altering weight. And your truth, raw and pure, echoed and amplified with every pathetic attempt they made to silence it. They even tried to isolate you. It was a systematic, coordinated campaign of whispered lies behind your back, creating artificial distance between you and those who might have supported you. They painted you as unstable, irrational, or unhinged, simply because you stopped tolerating the intolerable. Yet, through it all, you did not crumble under their coordinated pressure. You did not retreat into hiding or self-pity. You stood absolutely still, rooted like an ancient mountain in your truth, while they scrambled desperately, like insects in the light, to protect their crumbling illusions. What haunts them in their quietest, darkest moments is the undeniable fact that you didn't need a mob, a committee, or a stamp of approval from their corrupt authorities to be powerful. You only needed your voice and the unshakable, divinely implanted courage to use it when it mattered most. They tragically underestimated the sheer volume of strength you were holding back, the depth of your perception, and how much you were observing and documenting while they foolishly mistook your silence for surrender. You have spoken up in rooms where silence was the mandatory price of safety and belonging. You have made people profoundly uncomfortable, not by attacking them, but by simply refusing to play along with their sick and dysfunctional games. What you may not fully realize is that your calm, resolute refusal to participate has been louder and more impactful than any speech ever could be. It is defiance in its purest, most potent form. You are the sacred pause that forces people to rethink their actions. You are the living presence that holds up a mirror to faces that have grown far too accustomed to seeing only what they want to see, their own self-serving reflection. The ripple effect of your authenticity has been creating holy chaos in systems that depend entirely on everyone's silent compliance. Corporate hierarchies are scrambling as employees, who once accepted abuse and exploitation in silence, are now asking the very same piercing questions they learned from watching you. Family dynamics are imploding because relatives who always got away with their toxic, boundary-violating behavior are suddenly facing a level of accountability they never imagined possible. Social circles are fracturing because the enablers, the ones who kept the dysfunctional group dynamic alive, can't function when someone like you refuses to absorb the poison without resisting it. But here is where the supernatural, mystical element enters this grand story in ways that will make you question everything you thought you knew about coincidence. The relentless attacks against you have not just been coming from human sources. There has been an intense spiritual warfare raging in dimensions most people cannot perceive. Your awakening, your decision to align with truth, has triggered a massive response from dark forces that profit energetically from keeping humanity asleep, afraid, and compliant. Every single time you have stood up for truth, you have disrupted ancient energy systems that have been feeding off collective fear, shame, and silence for generations. Your steadfast refusal to participate in dysfunction has been literally starving parasitic spiritual forces that require human compliance to maintain their power and influence on this planet. This is the hidden reason why the opposition has been so intense, so bizarrely coordinated, and so utterly relentless. You are not just threatening a few individual bad actors. You are threatening an entire ecosystem of control that operates through manipulation, deception, and spiritual vampirism. That sudden, crushing wave of depression that hits you from nowhere, the suffocating anxiety that emerges without any logical cause, the sudden and inexplicable health challenges that seem to appear every single time you are gaining momentum on your mission, these are not random occurrences, dear one. They are targeted, strategic, energetic attacks designed to derail your mission before you can fully grasp the cosmic scope of what you are truly capable of accomplishing. But here, right now, is the plot twist that changes everything. Every single attack, every lie, every betrayal has only served to forge your resolve into unbreakable steel and to expand your capacity to help countless others who are walking similar paths of awakening. You have survived experiences that were meticulously designed to destroy you. This is not because you are simply resilient by nature. It is because you are divinely protected by forces far, far greater than anything that could ever try to bring you down. The very same power that shaped galaxies and ignited suns flows through your consciousness. And absolutely no weapon, physical or spiritual, formed against that divine energy can ultimately prosper. You were never trying to make waves. You simply became the wave itself. Your truth moves through people like a current, leaving nothing and no one untouched. Some desperately try to resist it, to build dams of denial and pretend it didn't reach them. But deep down, in the quiet recesses of their souls, they know. They know that something inside them has shifted forever because of you. They feel exposed, and the truth is, they are. You did not enter these rooms with a hidden agenda or a desire for conflict. You came in with clarity, and clarity is the most dangerous substance in a world hopelessly addicted to distortion. They fear your eyes because they know you are not fooled by their empty performances. They fear your silence because they know it is not ignorance. It is calculation. It is observation. You wait. You watch. And when you finally speak, it is not to wound, but to reveal. And that is what makes them truly, primally afraid. You do not shout to be heard. You speak to be felt. And once truth is felt at that deep, cellular level, it can never be forgotten, unfelt, or dismissed. But here is where the story turns in a way that even you did not see coming. The attacks against you have been escalating, and there is a profound reason for this escalation that runs far deeper than any personal vendetta. The unseen forces that benefit from keeping people small, silent, and compliant have identified you as a primary, high-level threat to their entire system of control. Every smear campaign, every calculated attempt to isolate you, every whispered lie meticulously designed to damage your reputation, none of it is random. These are strategic, desperate responses to your rapidly growing influence and spiritual authority. They will call what you bring tension or drama, but what you actually bring is divine justice in its rawest, most untamed form, uncomfortable, undeniable, and utterly necessary for the healing of this world. You never set out to be a protector, but you became one the moment you refused to stay silent while others cowardly turned away. When everyone else pretended not to see the fire, you turned directly toward it, ready to walk through the flames. When others looked away from hard truths, you locked eyes with them and stood your ground, unblinking. You did not just speak up for yourself. You defended people who could not defend themselves, and that single, repeated choice changed the entire trajectory of your existence and sealed your divine destiny. Here is the truth they do not want you to realize. Some people are not afraid of lies. They are terrified of what happens when someone finally calls out those lies with a precision sharp enough to cut through their carefully constructed, paper-thin facades. Your emotional and spiritual intelligence has evolved into something akin to a psychic scalpel, piercing through deception instantly. If this message is resonating deep within your soul, if you feel the truth of these words vibrating in your bones, take a moment to affirm your connection to this divine mission. Subscribe to God Connection and join a global family of chosen ones who are rising together. By subscribing, you are not just watching a video. You are casting a vote for truth, courage, and the collective awakening of humanity. You can feel manipulation before a single word is spoken. You can sense hidden agendas before they are ever revealed. You can identify false motives and inauthentic intentions before any action even exposes them. This is not paranoia. This is prophetic perception, a spiritual gift that has been activated by your unwavering alignment with truth. Your spirit has become a highly sensitive detector for authentic versus artificial energy, and the contrast is now so stark, so undeniable when you encounter either. People who once fooled you completely with their charming, polished facades now feel utterly transparent under your elevated perception. Their smiles seem forced and grotesque. Their compliments ring hollow and tinny in your ears. Their promises feel as empty and vast as a vacuum. This is not because you have become bitter or cynical. It is because you have developed a supernatural discernment that cuts straight through the surface presentation to the core intention. You are now operating at vibrational frequencies that automatically expose the lower frequencies others are broadcasting from. Your mere presence has become a living, breathing truth detector that makes people nervous, even when they are technically telling the truth. This is because your energy field is so saturated with raw authenticity that anything less than complete, brutal honesty feels deeply uncomfortable in your vicinity. This is why conversations often become awkward and stilted the moment you join them. It's why people stumble over their words when addressing you, and why entire groups fall into a sudden, charged silence when you enter a space. Your spiritual atmosphere instinctively demands higher standards of communication and integrity than most people are prepared to offer. The profound transformation happening all around you is not coincidental. People are not just randomly finding their voices out of the blue. They are finding them because your voice gave them the spiritual permission to believe they deserve to be heard. Individuals are not accidentally discovering their inherent worth. They are discovering it because your steadfast refusal to accept anything less than respect showed them what true dignity looks like in action. You have stood in spaces where injustice dressed itself in the costume of politeness. You have heard blatant mocking disguised as just a joke. You have felt profound disrespect hidden under a professional tone, and you have witnessed unbelievable cruelty smoothed over with fake, gaslighting apologies. Instead of letting it slide, as everyone else did, as everyone expected you to do, you said something. Maybe you did not even raise your voice. Maybe you didn't need to. But your words, sharp, clear, and unwavering, cut through the suffocating noise like a blade through silk. You did not make it personal. You made the truth known. In your family, you are the one who finally shut down the toxic relative who always crosses sacred lines and then laughs as if their violation is harmless fun. In your friend group, you are the one who defended someone everyone else conveniently forgot about the moment it became inconvenient to remember their humanity. You have drawn lines in the sand while legions of others stood safely behind them, waiting, praying for someone, anyone, to do exactly what you just did. And when you did it, everything shifted. It was like tectonic plates rearranging themselves deep within the earth. The very ground beneath those dysfunctional systems began to crack, crumble, and give way. And here is the climactic revelation that changes absolutely everything. You have made powerful enemies, not because you were cruel or aggressive, but because you dared to speak the truth in rooms that were built on foundations of lies and denial. Some people have navigated their entire lives without ever being held genuinely accountable for their actions, and your presence shattered that lifelong immunity like a pane of glass hitting concrete. You were not emotional, you were exact. You were not aggressive, you were precise. That is why it stung so deeply. That is why they still talk about it, obsess over it, months, even years later. That is why they have not forgotten and, in all likelihood, never will. Somewhere out there, right now, someone still flinches when your name is mentioned. Not because you were wrong, but because you were so profoundly, devastatingly right. And they hate how clearly, how effortlessly, you proved it. Even now, someone is still desperately trying to rewrite that narrative, still searching for new ways to paint you as the villain in a story where you were the hero. But deep down, in the place where no lies can survive, they know the truth. You were not fighting for yourself. You were fighting for someone who could not fight for themselves. And that is a source of power they will never understand because it requires a level of courage they have never accessed within their own souls. The system that once seemed so monolithic and untouchable has now been exposed as the fragile house of cards it always was. Your truth-telling did not just reveal individual corruption. It illuminated the entire interconnected network of dysfunction that people had normalized as just the way things are. The masks did not just slip, they shattered completely, leaving everyone's true nature visible for all to see. And here is the revelation that will shake you to your very core. You did not raise your hand for this position of leadership, but leadership chose you anyway. People instinctively look to you for guidance in moments of crisis, not because you campaigned for influence or networked your way to the top, but because your consistent, unwavering demonstration of wisdom, courage, and integrity has earned you a level of trust that simply cannot be manufactured or manipulated through political maneuvering. Your leadership style is a direct threat to traditional, ego-based power structures because it is built on selfless service rather than selfish control. You lead by example rather than by demand. You influence through pure inspiration rather than through fear and intimidation. You guide through love rather than through fear. This model of authentic, heart-centered leadership is so completely foreign to those accustomed to authoritarian, top-down systems that they literally cannot comprehend how you maintain authority without asserting dominance over others. The revolution you are leading is not organized with committees, bylaws, and official titles, but it is undeniably effective in ways that are making established institutions panic. People are awakening to their own power simply by watching you walk fearlessly in yours. Individuals are finding their authentic voice by listening to you use yours without apology or hesitation. Entire communities are transforming by witnessing your refusal to accept dysfunction as normal or inevitable. Your influence has now reached a critical mass. It can no longer be contained or suppressed by traditional methods. Each person you inspire goes on to inspire others in exponential, beautiful patterns. Each boundary you set gives countless others the permission they needed to establish their own non-negotiable standards of treatment. Each truth you speak creates a sacred space for other suppressed truths to finally emerge from decades, even centuries, of enforced silence. You ask one piercing question, and suddenly, thousands of others are asking their own questions that shake the very foundations of deceit. You refuse to tolerate one single injustice, and suddenly, millions of others find the courage to refuse their own oppression. You have made people believe that they are not powerless, helpless victims, and absolutely nothing threatens corrupt control structures more than the mass awakening of individual power combined with a rising collective consciousness. What they never expected was just how many people were silently, desperately grateful for what you did. People who did not yet have the strength or the words to speak up for themselves. You have defended people who truly believed no one would ever stand up for them. You did it quietly, without asking for applause, without needing validation, without making it about your ego. You just acted. And in doing so, you gave others the permission to believe that they, too, deserved better treatment. The impact of your actions has been spreading in ways even you have not fully comprehended yet. Coworkers are referencing conversations they had with you months ago when they finally find the courage to address their own workplace harassment. Family members are quoting things you said during tense holiday confrontations when they finally establish life-saving boundaries with toxic relatives. Friends are carrying your words with them like talismans into their own battles against injustice, using your example as their sacred template for standing strong. You are not a rebel without a cause. You are a divine force with one. You are not stirring up drama for entertainment. You are correcting profound cosmic imbalances that have been allowed to exist for far too long. No matter how they try to twist your motives or reframe your actions, the impact remains undeniable and irreversible. You were not trying to save the entire world, but you did save someone's world. And in a reality that constantly tries to erase and silence its defenders, your truth still echoes louder than their silence ever could. The transformation you initiated has reached a critical mass. It is no longer contained within your immediate circles. It is spreading through global networks of human connection faster than any coordinated effort could ever hope to contain it. Your influence has become contagious in the most beautiful way possible. Here is where the story reaches levels that utterly transcend ordinary human experience. Your words now carry powerful frequencies that operate in spiritual dimensions most people cannot perceive. When you speak truth in boardrooms, angelic realms beyond the physical take note and record it. When you defend the innocent, legions of angelic forces mobilize on your behalf. When you expose corruption, divine justice begins orchestrating a series of natural consequences that may appear coincidental to the untrained eye, but follow patterns far too precise to be random. You have become a willing conduit for higher powers, and those who dare to oppose you are now finding themselves in direct conflict with forces that are far beyond their limited human understanding. The divine protection surrounding you has become so tangible that it is visible to those with spiritual sight. Your enemies encounter bizarre and inexplicable resistance. Their schemes backfire in ways that defy all probability. Their lies are exposed faster than they can spread them. Their pathetic attempts to isolate you only result in drawing more authentic, high-vibrational people into your orbit. This is not luck operating in your favor. This is divine intervention manifesting at frequencies that completely bypass normal cause and effect relationships. Your testimony, your very life story, has become a spiritual weapon that cuts through generational curses and systemic oppression with supernatural precision. Every single time you share your story of overcoming, invisible chains break in the lives of those who listen. When you describe overcoming gaslighting, others find the strength to finally trust their own perceptions again. When you explain the difficult process of setting boundaries with toxic family members, adult children discover that they do not have to accept abuse as a twisted form of love. When you reveal how you navigated workplace harassment, employees realize they do not have to tolerate mistreatment as a normal part of life. Your voice has become prophetic in nature, speaking things into existence that others cannot yet see manifesting. You call out destructive patterns before they can fully develop. You identify wolves in sheep's clothing long before they reveal their true nature to their unsuspecting victims. This is not mere intuition. This is divine revelation operating through your consciousness as a sacred tool to protect both yourself and those who look to you for guidance through this treacherous territory. This is not just personality development or a learned behavior. What runs through you is divine by design. The way you see the hairline cracks in polished systems that others miss entirely. The way your spirit physically recoils at injustice that others have completely normalized. That is not random. It is a sacred gift you were born carrying. You were built to disrupt. You were born to unsettle the foundations of power that have stood unchallenged for far too long. You were not created to conform to broken systems. You were wired to challenge what has been blindly and passively accepted for generations. You feel it, do not you? That deep, inner resistance to staying silent. That spiritual ache you feel when you witness manipulation parading as leadership. That holy fire that ignites in your chest when someone's dignity is being crushed under the weight of polite oppression. Others walk away from these moments, but you stay. Not because it is easy or comfortable, but because your very soul will not allow you to abandon truth. That is not just defiance operating in your spirit. That is your divine calling. The prophecies spoken over your life in childhood, the dreams that once seemed impossible, are now manifesting with an unprecedented precision that defies all coincidence. Visions that appeared fantastical are now materializing, orchestrated by divine timing rather than clumsy human planning. The current chaos in your life is not random. It is the sound of old, rotten structures being demolished to make room for the new, unshakable foundations being laid for your future impact. What feels like destruction is actually a glorious construction happening at spiritual frequencies the physical eye cannot yet perceive. Everyone is buzzing about you now because you have become the crown-wearing champion. But the truth is, the crown was always yours to wear. The authority you are now walking in was not earned through popularity contests or political maneuvering. It was activated the moment you chose truth over comfort, justice over convenience, and courage over safety. You have shaken corrupt structures to their very core without even trying, simply by standing unshakable in your truth. Make no mistake, the attacks against you have never been random. The smears, the whispers, the attempts to isolate you. These are all signs and markers that you are exactly where you are meant to be, right on track. People do not throw stones at buildings that are not standing tall. They target you because you are a living threat to everything they have built on foundations of fear, silence, and control. Your courage calls their cowardice into question. Your presence puts unbearable pressure on the hidden, shadow parts of themselves they have refused to acknowledge. You have exposed their lies simply by refusing to participate in them. You have disrupted entire systems simply by refusing to pretend that their dysfunction is normal. Whether or not you ever receive public credit for it, the shift has already begun. People are thinking differently because of your influence. People are choosing differently because of what you stood for when it mattered most. You did not apply for this role, but something divine saw the qualities in you that could carry it. Something unshakable, something holy, something that could not be corrupted or bought at any price. That is why the path has felt so heavy at times. That is why you have often felt set apart from others who seem to glide through life without ever confronting these hard truths. You are set apart, and there is a profound and sacred reason for that separation. You are not just here to comfort the wounded. You are here to warn those who are doing the wounding that their time of unchallenged power is rapidly coming to an end. You were not made for quiet compliance or comfortable conformity. You were born to shake the ground beneath unjust feet. And you are doing exactly what you were sent here to accomplish. The world knows who you are now because authenticity at your level cannot be hidden or dismissed. Your power is not loud or flashy. It is clean, sharp, and precise, cutting through the endless noise and awakening people to possibilities they had long forgotten existed. The revolution you have been a part of, sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously, has reached the point of no return. You have become living proof that it is possible to be both principled and powerful simultaneously. You have demonstrated that standing in one's truth does not require permission from those in so-called authority positions. You have shown that one person's courage can light fires in countless other hearts. The whispers about you in boardrooms and break rooms, in family groups and friend circles, are not just gossip. They are powerful testimonies to the seismic power of what happens when one person chooses to be real in a world full of pretense. Every conversation about your courage plants a seed of possibility in the minds of people who thought they had to accept mistreatment as normal. Every story told about your stand gives others the permission they desperately needed to take their own. You did not ask for this position, but now that it is yours, you are carrying it with a holy fire in your heart, and the sword of truth on your tongue. You are not just walking your own path anymore. You are clearing the way for millions of others to walk theirs with dignity, power, and strength. We are all part of this divine mission at God Connection. If you feel called to support our work in spreading these vital messages of hope and empowerment, please consider making a $10 donation through the Super Thanks button below this video. Your support helps us continue to create and share content that awakens souls across the globe. Every contribution, no matter the size, is a powerful act of love that ripples out into the world. And please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and share this video with anyone who needs to hear this truth today. You never know whose life you might change. Dear Father, I pray for the continued growth of my faith and the faith of everyone listening. Help us all to trust in you, even when physical evidence is lacking. Let us believe in your perpetual presence, knowing you will never abandon or harm us. We accept that your thoughts for us are thoughts of prosperity and not of harm, to give us a future filled with hope. Thank you, gracious and eternal Father, for always listening to our voices. We offer this prayer to you in the holy name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your infinite love and divine provision. We are eternally grateful for your presence in our lives and the abundance you bring. Leave a comment below about your own journey and how you are preparing to step into your full power. Don't stop here. Watch our next video for even more powerful revelations about the signs that confirm you are a chosen one. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Keep shining brightly and embrace your magnificent destiny with courage. Blessings to all you beautiful souls from God Connection.